Hey, what's up guys, it's Shib. In today's video, we're going to be showing you the exact method we use to rank our clients on the first page of Google. If you're new here, I run a SEO agency primarily for contractors, and the reason I make these videos is to help you get from $0 to $1 million in revenue or more for free. Let me begin by showing you one of our clients, by showing you their traffic. As you can see, in the last 3 months, they got over 7,600 people that came to their business, and in their Google Maps, in the last 30 days, in the month of May, they got 130 phone calls that came straight from the maps. We're going to talk about their website, their local SEO, their on-page SEO, their off-page SEO, and finally competitor research. Now, if it sounds really complicated, don't worry, by the end of this video, it'll make all sense because we're going to go through it step by step. Now, just so you know, I'm going to be using a roofing company as an example, but the steps I'm going to be showing you can be used for really any business that's local. You can use it for a plumbing company, HVAC, tree service, what name you. Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer that the website I'm going to be using to do an audit on is called Summers Roofing in Idaho. This is a random website. We have no affiliation with it. They're not our current client or anything like that. That being said, let's begin. First and foremost, we're going to be using a tool called Screaming Frog SEO Spider. It's an OG tool, it's for free, and you can download this on this website, and it will allow us to scan the website and get all the pages in a simple way. Once you start the scan, it will say it's complete when it's done, shows 100% in the bottom. When that is done, you can simply click export, and I'm going to do it in CSV file and save it on the computer. Once we have this, what we are able to do is simply take some of their top pages from here, and what I call is a keyword match. So this is a relatively simple way that we can open up all the tools. I'm going to use a tool called Bulk URL Opener. It's a free Chrome plugin, allows you to paste everything and open it at one time. While this is loading, we're going to go to the keyword planner and look at their local market. Now, as a roofing company, they probably serve more than just the city we're going to be looking at, but if you search for Summers Roofing in Idaho, they are located in Meridian. For just the sake of this analysis, we're going to be looking at just this one area. So if I go onto Google search in the keyword planner, which is a tool where you can start your research for finding out what homeowners are actually typing in when they're looking for roofers. If I punch in roofing, we'll start to see some analysis for the direct traffic. By direct, I mean, all right, so bottom here, you can see there's people who are searching for roofing Meridian ID, 10 to 100 people, roofing companies, Meridian, Idaho. Some people are writing the whole thing out. This is a branded roofer. Many people are typing in roof repair Meridian, roofing contractors Meridian, commercial roofing. You get the idea. And we start to get an idea of what people are actually searching in terms of the general direct search. And then also like to do it for near me, meaning this time I tell the tool not the people who are putting Meridian in the search term, but also we look at how many people are just looking for roofing and any kind of roofing related keywords that are actually located in Meridian. So I'm going to show you that in 1 second here. This time, if you just go search again, roofing itself without the city, and then in the city location, you can punch in the city we're talking about, Meridian, close this, and you can start to see that there's another 10 to 100 people who are just typing in roofing in of itself by itself without any city. Many people type in roofing companies near me. Many people type in roofers near me, roof repair near me, etc. All right, now that we got a general idea about what people are searching in this area, we're going to see what does the website structure look like as an overview. Before we start going very nitty-gritty in all the tags that we have in the page, we want to just make sure that the main things, the few things that make the most biggest effect is in place. And for that, on the website itself, it's 4 things. Number 1, it's the URL, right? So it's something we cannot change often, right? Once you're working on your site, it's something you want to get it perfect in the get-go. But ideally, if you're in a decent sized city, you want to have at least the search term, the service on your domain, roofing, and then as a bonus, it would be if you can also get the city in. So if we wanted to have the maximum points to be one of the top roofers in Meridian, we would have roofing Meridian in the domain. I don't think it's necessary for this company because the city is big but not huge compared to like if you're in Houston, you might make it like I'm going to use everything I got to rank in Houston, right? Because if I just can get to the top there, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if I'm not showing up even 10 miles away from Houston. If I can get Houston alone, I'm going to be in front of like literally thousands thousands and thousands of people. But in this case, you gotta do it more like a balance. Anyways, that's the number one, URL. Number two is gonna be the title. So if I go into the tag, you can see their title is Quality Roofing Services, Summers Roofing and Construction. Again, in the title, something we are able to alter pretty often. We would wanna have at least the city there that we're going for, and that goes the same with the header one, which in this case, they don't even have a header one, which is one of the 4 elements that are very, very important. URL, title, header, and lastly is the body text. We would be punching in roofing or Summers Roofing Meridian ID, something like that, or number 1 roofing in Meridian ID / Summers Roofing. However you like it, just getting the service and the city in there is the most important. This time there's missing, and if you were to just punch this in, this company would jump up in rankings a little bit just from that. They wouldn't be number 1, but they'll be jumping up just from that because these are such important tags on the on page. Having that said, the last one is going to be body text, which is simply as the name sounds, somewhere in the body, any kind of text needs to have the keyword we're going for, which is in this case, roofing Meridian ID. We'd want to have that placed in some content within the page. All right, next, what you want to do is for all the service pages. So for a local company like a roofing company, there's a lot of types of roofing you can do, and you want to have each page built out, which looks like they already have it built out. But what's unlikely to happen is that probably since the home page is not properly optimized, it's unlikely that all these other pages are optimized. We want to make sure that what we just did here, just the basic, just the header, URL, body text, and the title. These 4 things are we go and do. This might be contrary to what a lot of people do and how they do on page, because they might be wanting to go very in depth all the way into schema markup and everything like that, right on page by page. But a lot of times what we see is that people just don't even get the basics right, such as the ones I'm talking about. And these basics have the most weight. With 5 to 10 minutes of work per page, you're able to get the most reward or the most gain. So why not just do those things first and make sure those are done well and submitted and saved, and then we can go on a second round and clean up the next layer of things that would be important. Speaking of next layer, the way we get into the next layer is just by looking at the competitors. So if I go and search for roofing Meridian, Idaho, you get to see in the map section who are the guys who are showing up the best, right? Idaho roofing contractors. We can open them up. Silver Lining. I mean, you don't have to even look at a lot. You can look at 1 or 2 of the top guys and just get a very good idea how everything looks. Right away off the bat, you can see that their site is more well built in terms of structure. You can just look at the site and tell aesthetically this looks a lot better. And although it's an SEO video, not about aesthetics, if you're in a market going against other people where they have much better looking site than you and it's just clear, you can just go to it and it seems a lot more humanized, their pictures, their team, everything like that, all that kind of stuff, their work they do, and it's just a lot more user friendly and looks more professional, then this is one of the easy levers you want to pull. Nowadays, it's not that difficult to make a nice looking website. You want to rule that out as one of the reasons why you're not getting the most customers and just make your one look nice as well. Now, having that said, I look at how their things are structured. They have roof replacement, repairs, asphalt, metal, commercial roofing as these main pages, a bunch of about us. So a lot of things about us, so that's a telltale sign what Google might be liking in that area. Nowadays with EAT and everything, Google likes to really see a lot of sites that have, again, more about them as a business. If you look at Google My Business verification, you can see the direction Google is going. They really like to validate it's a real company, right? Video to show that you're actually legitimate and you're in that area. All this kind of stuff, Google guaranteed, background checks and license and insurance, all of these things that Google is getting into is the direction that they like to see more about the back end, right? So if you have team members, if you have a crew, if you have more about you, if you do anything involved with their community, if you have any kind of things like a career page where you're hiring, which anybody can have, meet the team, I think any company can have. Even if you're a one-man show, there's other people, there's at least crews you're using. I don't think they'd mind to, be involved if you put them there, right? Just a picture of them working in a roof doesn't even have to be like, individual shots of them. But all of these add trust on the homeowner side, as well as Google likes it overall because it shows that the company is legitimate. Last but not least, they have a gallery page and then service areas. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it's not even a trick, it's just basically building out sub pages for every single location that you target. Now, I just want to see if they have unique content for these or they have it just the same duplicate. Our home is a commercial property. Let me see. when you need it. So it's actually unique. So again, if they are taking the effort to put everything unique in your local market and that's what's getting them to the top, then you might want to do the same, right? Again, not that difficult to have unique content written with AI and whatnot, although we recommend using a few different filters and changing it and using the content that is actually relevant to your local market, that can add value to people who would be reading the pages, as opposed to just, blurbing out something just for the sake of it. But with that being said, the structure wise, this is a pretty sound structure, pretty basic but sound structure across the board for many roofing sites. So anything that's missing here, we would be recommending to add that on Summers Roofing so they can have a similar structure and match and mirror, right? Just doing a better job at what the competitors are doing. This is a philosophy we use for anything, because if you see, it's an open book. It's not like it's hidden. It's not like we don't know who's at the top. At any time, we can go and see what do the top guys look like, what kind of content they have, what kind of links they have, and all of these things. Many times, keeping things very simple, you're able to just look at exactly what they did or similarities they have, who are already being rewarded. Google already likes what they're doing, so that's why they're showing at the top. And if we're able to match and do better version of their content, their links, it is unreasonable for us to not move up as well. Once you have the structure sound, right? So you can see basically when you then go to some of the competitors in your area, the content that they have and how everything looks should be at least match in equivalence, right? If you're going to a random person and show them the two sites, they'll be like, okay, this one looks better, and they pick yours. And then the other thing that we should mention is simply the amount of content. The homepage barely has any content other than one blurb about our story, although many times we want picture-based websites. And in home remodeling or home improvement, a lot of times, depending on the exact trade, right? If you're a roofing company, I don't think it has to be as picture-based, but if you're a remodeling company, you might be wanting to be more picture-based for homeowners. But you have to keep in mind, Google likes content. You cannot really rank a site in any competitive market if you have no content on it, right? It's like if it's just pictures, there's no way to rank it. So with that being said, usually we recommend a rule of thumb is 1,000 words of content for every page, right? So this is not 1,000 words. Even if it's in the bottom of the page, somewhere added before the contact us, more information about the company and everything we do, whatnot, that would be something that would be really good. Once these kind of basic things are done, meaning site looks nice, tags and the 4 important basic elements of on page are sound, we have all our pages built out and interlinked properly, then what we want to look at is start using some tools to see behind the hood and getting into a little bit more advanced things. So for that, we're going to use 2 tools, SEMrush and Ahrefs. So first of all, taking a look at Idaho Roofing Contractors and see what they have going on. All right, so Idaho Roofing Contractors, as you can see, they're getting currently an estimated amount of 389 people that come to their business every single month, right? Which is pretty good for a roofing company. Even if a small percentage of this actually turn into business, it's going to make a huge difference to their company. And when we compare this with Summers Roofing, you can see that it's pretty much nothing that it's picking up on the tool. So what we're going to look at here is going to go over to Ahrefs. Now you can do some of this stuff in SEMrush as well, but Ahrefs, I find, in my opinion, is more accurate. Now there's a lot of things that you can do in this tool. It can go extremely advanced and technical, but we're going to look at the overview and try to keep things as high level as possible. The reason we do this is not because we want to make it only touch on simple stuff. It's because we want to have a level of order of importance, right? There's over 200 factors Google looks at when they're ranking sites. If you were to try to go and please every single metric of those, you'd basically lose your mind. What you want to do is there's few metrics that can be more than even 50% of the weight, right? So whenever life gives you any kind of challenges where one out of hundreds of metrics is more important than half of everything else, you want to do those first and then see where it gets you before you go into more technical things. With that being said, and with that philosophy in mind, you can see that these guys, Idaho Roofing Contractors, have 511 backlinks. Their domain authority is a 15, which is basically a cumulative number to quantify all their links, publications, traffic together, right? It's a vanity metric. It's not Google's metric. It's something Ahrefs puts together. It's more as a gauge to look at than taking it as an end-all be-all. But what's interesting here is that 500 backlinks and they have about 179 people that come to their business, right? SEMrush said it was higher, but we know it's between now 170 and 300 people. Somewhere between that they get per month traffic, but this is the number of places that are mentioning them. When I compare this with Summers Roofing, you can see that their thing is pretty much non-existent and they have 7 backlinks. Backlinks are arguably the most important thing nowadays in a world of AI where you can produce as much content as possible and there's going to be a huge issue about what is real and what is fake. One of the ways that Google can really verify how legit a certain entity business is simply by the number of other businesses that are talking about it, right? So everybody on their website, the roofing companies will be saying that they're the best in their area. But Google knows that it's not about what they say they are, it's about what other businesses say, especially if those other businesses, magazines, newspapers, press releases happen to be in the same or similar industry. So what does that mean? If you're a roofing company and you're getting talked about by other places, roofingcontractor.com, Roofers Coffee Shop, Roofing Magazine, just as an example, these things are going to have a lot more weight than just being mentioned by some random site out there. Anyways, with Idaho Roofing Contractors, what we want to do is link everything by one mention. That way, any company that mentioned them several times, we're not going to count that. It doesn't weigh as much. And you can see that boils it down to 167 places that mention them. And then if we go down from here, we can start to see where their power comes from and see what things are actually relevant to the home improvement industry. So for example, Berkeley's Roofing & Co. This old house, which is a very famous site nowadays. Today's homeowner. Again, these are a few examples of actually relevant sites out there, right? See, Berkeley Building & Co. This looks like it's a real estate home, open houses, parade homes, and something like that. And somewhere here, they mentioned Idaho Roofing, right? So if I search Idaho right there, you can see that they're linked. Major sponsors. See, this is a place that we can possibly reach out. If we go into this old house, this is again, really great site. Looks like they're more like a directory. Let's check out their traffic. It's not about, how many of these we get. It's also about how much traffic and authority they have. Well, they're very strong, right? Their domain authority 85. All we gotta know is that it's very high. And just remember, the higher you go, the harder it is to climb, right? So getting from 1 to 10 is not hard. Getting from 50 to 55 could take years. So the traffic they have is immense. So they're getting mentioned again in a big directory here. Now, I don't know if this is do follow links, but we're gonna not have to get into those kind of metrics right now. What's important is just to get an idea that this company here, Idaho Roofing Contractors, is getting mentioned in relevant sites out there that are about home improvement. We could reach out to one of these places, right, and start matching them, right? Hey, Berkeley Building & Co. We see that you're mentioning Idaho Roofing on your site and you're linking to them. We're also a great roofing contractor in the same area. What's your process to getting published? And this is where analysis comes in, negotiation comes in. Many of the things out there that actually can move the needle are not just some free profile. You can go out and Yelp and make a profile or something. Those things don't really add much to your rankings, but anybody can get them and Google knows it. But when you start getting mentioned in industry relevant places or even local, right? Like something that's all about Idaho and Idaho's home improvement, and they publish you in a positive way, that can bring a lot of power. So it's more of an analysis and an art. You could make it scientific, basically, by making it like a quantifiable look at all the places that the guys who are ranking in the top 3-10 positions in your local market, and look at all their backlinks and all the places where they're getting published on and which ones are responsible for giving them their power. And then simply, if you just start matching them, right? There's other techniques we can do that's way more advanced that can have a lot of power. But just for basics, if you simply match what the top 10 guys in your market have already done and they're getting rewarded for it by Google, already proven, then again, it becomes unreasonable for us to not have good things happen, because now you have similar kind of structure and they have, let's say, 55 pages of content, we have 100 pages of good content, right? And the content is written better with more rich and actual data that homeowners get help from when they read it. When they go to our website, the website will look better aesthetically, so a bigger percentage of people who see us call us. Then we match them there too. And now, when about their backlinks, which is one of the biggest parts of Google, all the places that the top 10 guys have been mentioned in, we are matching that, and we at least have what all of them have. And just by that, you're crossing out and blocking each of the holes why Google doesn't take you seriously. And just by doing it, what we have covered up until now, you'll be in a position already where you're showing up at least in the first page in the top 10-20 companies. Next, we're going to be looking at some performance metrics on the website. Basically, when people actually visit it, how does it perform? How does it render? How long does it take to load? And also, it's a good way to indicate, especially if somebody is on mobile. You know, a lot of times when we are visiting a website on a broadband internet connection, especially if a website you already visited, like your own, it loads pretty fast. You don't notice anything wrong. However, first time homeowner looking for a roofer out there on their cell phone, not with a fast internet connection, running around and looking for a roofer, they might have a hard time getting to your site. It can take a few seconds to load, a lot of times causing them to press back, or at the least having a bad experience that can sway them to not make a phone call. With that being said, the two tools we're going to use for this is GTmetrix and PageSpeed Insights, and it's both free. They all take like about 10-20 seconds to give you a relatively fast score on how things are going. As you can see, Summer's Roofing right now is at a 61, and it tells us exactly what to fix underneath. So usually any kind of web developer would be able to take this and do a rundown and get this to over 85 to a 90 or more at the least. And then the next important thing is just this part. We want to make sure that the content on the site actually loads within 3 seconds or under. Taking 7 seconds in today's day, it's about 4 seconds too late. A lot of times if things don't work for a couple of seconds, it might sound absurd, but if you look at even yourself when you're looking for a local service, if something doesn't load for a few seconds, you're already thinking about like pressing back and go to the next person. Because in your mind, you're thinking it's not working or something like that, and we're like so agitated, our attention span is so short. GTmetrix generally tends to be a little bit more lenient. This is showing that everything looks good on their site, whatnot in terms of performance and speed. So I guess, you want to look at that as a secondary confirmation from what the first one showed. But usually this is the one we go by anyways, and then use GTmetrix as a second level confirmation. Just because GTmetrix looks good doesn't mean everything is fine. And make sure that PageSpeed Insights, it also looks fine for you to conclude that yes, overall my mobile optimization and website looks fine. And then last but not least, do a simple test on your phone. Like just go to your site on your phone and see how does it feel to call, to fill out a form, how does it submit, what the experience feels like. Is it intuitive, right? Hand your phone to your wife and just ask her, hey, can you try to be a customer and fill out a form here, see how you go, and then how long does she take, what does she click, just watch every moment she makes, and is it like very intuitive or not. If it's not, if she has to scroll a few times to figure things out, then chances are, even if it loads fine, that the experience is not exactly fine, right? You want to make sure that human element is also bridged and we understand how a buyer is, right? Homeowners are not so complicated. They're pretty straightforward. They search for roofing, if they see you, they might click on you, check you out real quick. Things happen in split seconds and they make a judgment to make a phone call or not. Don't have any kind of friction that can allow them to have that leeway to not make that phone call. We already got them to come here and take a look at us. It's the last place we want to lose their attention. Once you have done up until now, it should be looking pretty good. So far, your things are loading fast. You have all the competitors matched in terms of content. Everything's looking rich. Website performing nice, looks aesthetically well as performance is good. And then on top of it, you already matched all the top 10 guys for the links that they are getting power from and what Google is already rewarding them for to be in the top positions. And we're now getting that same kind of power coming to us. Last but not least, if you were to take this one step further and just look at biggest cities in the United States, it's a simple way that we look at things a lot of times and just look at what are the biggest cities here. And then you look at any of these big cities that have a big roofing market. Now, really, you can choose any one of them, but if I had to do it, I would go for like Houston, maybe Phoenix, San Antonio, San Diego, a bunch of places in Texas and Denver, competitive places, basically. Massive cities, right? Big population cities that are in competitive markets. So let's do, Phoenix, roofing Phoenix AZ, roofing Houston, TX, roofing Dallas, TX, and then roofing, let's say Denver, CO. And what you're gonna find is now that you matched your local competitors, you can see other roofers in other markets that have a lot of visibility as well, right? And you can do the same for one more layer of those backlinks that we did for some of the top markets. Now you're not just getting all the links and publications that your your market people is being published on, but you're also getting a lot of the links that Google has rewarded in the most competitive markets in the United States. Again, with our philosophy, making it unreasonable for Google to not take us seriously and put us to the top. Because at this point, we're not just another company that has some nice looking site with a few reviews, where with everything we did so far, plus we have more links than any other person in your local market because we're matching top markets out there as well when it comes to their backlinks. Now, goes without saying, but obviously if something is local backlink, like in Houston, you don't have to get those. You just get the ones that are roofing and home improvement specific, niche specific across the nation. With that being done, then you can come back and just look at your Google profile as the final and last thing to squeeze out every juice possible. Because if you have done this till far, chances are 8 out of 10 times you're already ranking the top 10 within your local market. And then if you search roofing Meridian, Idaho, and you look at these guys, one of them have 450 reviews, 150 reviews, 49 reviews. What you want to do is now go absolute ballistic and getting it to be the highest reviewed company in the area. Now, generally, many times in a decent sized city, there's one guy that is hundreds. So in this case, I would say even shooting to beat this guy would be a really great goal. And that's not a small amount of reviews. I understand. I made videos in the past about how to get reviews really fast, not doing anything, fake and weird that Google can flag you. But the point is that a lot of times what's going to happen is when homeowners come and they look for the percentage of people that's going to call from the maps, they're going to call this guy because they have the most reviews. Even if they're number 3, like if let's say La Fever was number 1 at the position here, an Idaho roofing contract, they'll still go down to the 3rd one and call them first because they have the most reviews. So your phone rings regardless if you're in the top 3, but the sequence can a lot of times matter on who gets it first. So a lot of the calls that these guys get, they're literally the first person that homeowner has ever reached out to for their roof. That's the position you get when you're the most highest reputable company and you're within the top 3. Since they have so many though, and if for Summers Roofing, what might be more realistic, especially in the short term, maybe in the next year or so, is to get 151 reviews. Because then all the people who call, let's say Idaho roofing contractors, and maybe they're charging very high, it's common. Big companies in the area, sometimes that have hundreds of reviews, they're going to be priced higher than a company that's doing, let's say, $1 million or less. Just a general observation. In that case, then a lot of people will come down to the second person and call them to get another estimate or bid, right? Generally, the people who call from Google are not the type of homeowners we see that are to get like 7 bids, like the likes of type of people that go to Home Advisor, Angie, Networks, CraftJack, Modernize, whatever you want to call it. They tend to be a different type of homeowner, but they still get 1 or 2 bids, right? That's pretty common. And you are going to be in a position to get those bids as well. And that can work out very well because many times when you're the underdog, again, your pricing is good, you're personable. If you're the person, you're the main show, you're the owner who's doing everything. It's not compartmentalized with salesmen going out and then it's like project managers like a big company. You have that advantage to win over the heart of the homeowner because you're gonna be a little bit lower price than the big guy, as well as more personable and more touch, etc., etc. It can be really powerful when you quantify everything there is. And if you're in a position where you're getting even 1 or 2 phone calls a day that's qualified, interested from homeowners who are looking for the service, it's gonna make a big difference. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. This was a full step-by-step on overview on the main things. As I said several times, there's a lot more things that you can go a lot more advanced, but if you were to just do these things here, as I mentioned, 8 out of 10 times, you'll already beat most of your local guys and be well into your way to have a really good campaign. So thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next video.